各位观众朋友们，大家好，欢迎收看 JxJ 论坛，由我 Jimmy 马健，我们的好朋友 Jim Noteware 为我们一起来讨论这个礼拜的时事。Jim, where are you right now?
I am in Philadelphia, actually, to be more precise, in Villanova, Pennsylvania, on the Philadelphia main line, and visiting family. So it's another chapter of the work-life balance that we talked about last week. So when I get back next week, we'll have more to talk about there.
We should continue because that was a great discussion. Everybody learned a lot, really good response. You know, you've been crisscrossing the country. You went from the West Coast back to here to Houston, then back to the East Coast in Philly, which is interesting because I forgot that you have very deep ties to Philly.
Yeah, and Washington and New York as well.
East Coast, but you're from California. So, I mean, you literally have been everywhere, not just travel, but you lived and worked and really got to know the area well. So if I ever go to Philly, I will definitely ask, or DC area, I will definitely have to ask you for recommendations.
Yeah, and the other thing you said, Jimmy, and I'd be happy to give it to you, particularly restaurant recommendations. Philadelphia, like Houston, is known for its culinary expertise.
I feel like Philadelphia has some of the better Italian and seafood and a lot more tradition. It's not just about cheesesteak, you know. I mean, there's much more than just Philly cheesesteak.
No. It's had culinary institutes and world-class chefs here and all that for a very, very long time.
That's right.
No. Right.
As self-proclaimed foodies, like you said last week, food is a big part of our celebrations about who you eat with and what you eat and family, the occasion to celebrate, or even just to have a meal. So it means a lot to us. And we eat well in Houston, there's no doubt.
Yeah. But no, I'd love to host you here sometime, and any of our audience who want to come to Philadelphia, that'd be great too. So
leave a message on the comment section. We'll definitely respond, and we'll let you know what is Jim's specialty places where only a local would know, right?
Yes. And the other thing is Philadelphia is rich in history, particularly American history, early American, and obviously the Independence Hall Declaration.
It's a walking history lesson. I mean, in high school, what we learn in government is literally half of it is there in Philly.
It's right there. Yeah.
I haven't been since I was a kid, so I would love to go back. I went to D.C. probably 2 years ago. The last time I was there, took the kids, saw the museum, saw the Capitol, you know, went to Lincoln Memorial, you know, did the tourist stuff. Saw the White House with all the security out there, and very different from when I went as a child, where it was really up close and personal. And now that shows how much our country have changed. It's kind of sad to see how it is now.
It is. And then you're reminded of that with the Capitol Hill insurrection on January 6th. It's even worse at the Capitol. So,
you know, it's interesting you brought it up because I don't know, it's been lost in the news. How many Capitol Police has committed suicide already? The PTSD, and people are saying it's a conspiracy theory, but it's kind of explainable for someone like you that grew up through the Vietnam War era. You know that there's PTSD. You know that these public servants, not only were they attacked and abused and injured, now their existence, their truth has been denied in Congress by the extremists of the Conservative Party, where they're denying what happened, they're denying responsibility. It is a shame. It is a shame because moderate Americans, no matter what party, when there is a crime, it is a crime. When there's violence, there's violence. It doesn't matter why, but it did happen. So for them to commit suicide, it is a shame. It's just a shame. It's sad.
The whole thing from start to finish, if it was ever finished, it is just a shame on everybody's part. Everybody. It's a shame. Anyway, let's get into what's important in Houston right now, and that's probably starting school again. And starting school is always a very important threshold. But I think right now it's all clouded by confusion over what's going on with all this masking, which is not just health, but politics. And it's a shame what's going on there, too.
You know, to be fair, I have not been this stressed probably since my graduate school thesis. Let me put it in perspective. This is the third school year that my children have started that is in COVID, because technically it was spring of last year. It was 2019 to 20 was, that spring was the third school year, 2019. And then this past fall was 2020, which basically a wash. This is the third school year. And I have not been distressed because there's, obviously everything's fluid because this pandemic, this virus is changing, morphing and mutating. We didn't know there would be Delta. Well, now that it's here and the numbers don't lie, and all the medical personnel we know are saying what we need to do. Once again, it's not a political issue. Now, I understand where everybody, the anti-maskers, understand where they're coming from. I get it. I'm vaccinated. You're vaccinated. My eldest 12-year-old is vaccinated, but my 8-year-old and my 4-year-old is not. And from everybody I talk to that are medical field, they're getting sick, mostly their kids. The question here is this. A lot of the examples I see from parents, because there's a huge discussion, huge stressful times to send them back or not, because our district in here, Fort Bend, does not offer online teaching as an option. They're saying if you don't send your kids to school, then it's truancy. Or you have to withdraw them, put them in private school, which I don't have a problem with it, but a lot of private schools also didn't prepare for it. So they don't have online classes either. Why is it a political issue? Because the examples most of them use is, well, wearing a seatbelt is the law. It protects others, right? Why doesn't people complain? Well, I don't want to wear a seatbelt. You can wear a seatbelt if you want. Or drunk driving, or getting your vaccination for smallpox. When you're a child, or even as an adult, when we're growing up here, there's certain vaccinations we have to have in order to attend school. Why does it have to become so politicalized? And listen, I am very disappointed in Governor Abbott. I think it's a farce that we are here. So I want to hear what there's always a different side of the coin. So tell me, why is Abbott so adamant and why is it becoming so politicized? What happened to science and listening to the medical expert?
Well, okay, I'll give you 2 or 3 answers, some of which will please you, some of which won't.
It never will please everyone, right? So, but we have to hear, we have to know. Yeah.
I think the main reason why people like Governor Abbott and Governor DeSantis in Florida are making a big issue out of these masks is twofold. Number one, they genuinely don't believe that masks are going to help anything, and I'll get into that in a moment. And number two, they're both running for president. And so what they want to do is to show how tough they are in opposing the Biden what I'll call mask compliance. And so they're resisting all of that. And in each of the cities in Florida and in Texas, cities and counties, the big ones, like Houston and Harris County, Fort Bend, Dallas, Travis County with Austin, San Antonio, and Bexar County, they're all populated by Democrats and followers of Biden too. And so what they want to do is to make sure that they are staking out their political territory and not allowing the people in the big cities to follow the national leadership. So that, I think, is what's going on politically. Now, how I look at all of this is twofold. The first thing is, I genuinely believe for children in particular, masks probably do more. They don't do very much good, if any at all, and for children. And if anything, they probably do a little bit more harm than good. And I'll send you some information that documents that if you'd like. But I really think the idea of masks are shooting at the wrong target. People need to be vaccinated. And when they are vaccinated, they are safe, and everyone around them is safe. I have heard more and more and more reports of the Houston hospitals, hospitals in other parts of the country. More than 99% of the people who are in the hospital with COVID-related illnesses, including most especially in their ICU unit, are people who have not been vaccinated. Now, if all of those people had been vaccinated, we wouldn't be having any of this problem. I mean, none. So I'm perfectly happy. Even though I'm conservative and I'm libertarian, I think public health is absolutely the number one criteria. I'm all for freedom. But as my friend George Will in Washington used to say, my ability to swing my arm stops at the end of your nose. And what that means is you cannot, by your behavior, endanger someone else. That is not freedom. That is not freedom of speech, of action, anything else. So I would be all for things like vaccine passports. I'd be all for, and I flew on an airplane today. They make you wear a mask to be on the airplane. Mm-hmm. I find that an intrusion into my behavior. I'm not going to fight it. I'll go along as I want to travel safely, all of that. But I would much prefer that they require proof of vaccination for anyone who gets on an airplane. Because really what is going on now is the greater public, including children going to school, are having to pay the price for the people who are exercising unilateral freedom and not getting vaccinated. Because again, if everyone was vaccinated and everyone that already had COVID has the antibodies, so they're not going to get it again. And even what they call breakthrough cases, in other words, someone that had COVID before or is vaccinated, they may get COVID again, but they're not going to get sick. And if they get any symptoms at all, those symptoms are going to be very mild. So in my mind, this is a catastrophe that could be virtually 100% avoided. The next piece of this is there's a second danger, not just the ones we've talked about, but the second danger is, pardon the sun coming in this window, the second danger is we are exhausting our medical system all over again. And I am talking to many people in the health field, including nurses, who are saying, we've taken an ethical oath to take care of people who are sick. But these people are sick needlessly. Our heart goes out to them. They're sick and they're in pain, and many of them are passing away. But they're fools. And why do we have to put ourselves through the trauma that we did a year ago all over again, when now we have this miracle solution called vaccines? So we're going to face, once we get past this COVID problem, however and whenever that occurs, we're going to face a situation where our medical ranks are depleted. We will have many fewer nurses because they're exhausted and they're mad. And we're going to have a lot of delayed surgeries. People who delay surgery for cancer, for heart disease, even for routine things like hip replacements, they're enduring a pain and suffering and other risks that they're having to endure needlessly. So I think we're shooting at the wrong target. I read extensively. I listen to the radio. I watch some of the things on television, and the media just keeps churning the confusion all the time. Mask, yes. Mask, no. Number of cases rising. The number of cases is irrelevant. It matters who the cases are. That makes all the difference in the world. But it could all be solved. Get vaccinated. If you don't get vaccinated, you can't do a damn thing else. I'll preserve your right not to get vaccinated. But that doesn't mean you have the right to do anything else. Okay?
Why can't we have more conservative leaders that thinks logically and have compassion, have respect for others? Like the analogy you used is perfect, right? You swing and that's it. You keep it this. This is not the nation that it is just a shame. I'm very confused to how are we here today? All to pander to their voters.
Let me come back to the politics, Jimmy. Let me just say one thing. People like Governor Abbott and Governor DeSantis, Governor Ducey in Arizona, and I have respect for all of these guys. They philosophically and practically detest federal mandates, federal government telling the states what to do. And they will always argue back with states' rights, pushback. Well, they should take that theory, that philosophy, and apply it between states and local governments. So
the analogy I use with that is
it's hypocritical. Yeah.
Yes, double standard. You know, I look at Andrew Cuomo. I look at the fiasco.
Yeah.
Yes, he should have resigned long ago, but he did resign. Okay. Yeah. And the people calling him to resign, it doesn't matter what affiliation you believe in. He is wrong. Yeah. He did something wrong. He needs to go. Yeah. But what happened to Matt Gaetz? What happened to the former President Trump, who has much worse accusations? What happened to all the Republican, the Trumpers that will stay in office and deny it happened, and without being condemned by their own party? This is one thing is party line. One thing was right and wrong. American politics was not like this before. Right. There's a sense of accountability. So when you say double standard, I get it. They want to pander to their voters. They want to get their votes, but at the risk of what? And that's a perfect analogy. You know, it's very rare that I agree with everything that you say, Jim. Everything, except I want to clarify the very first part. Everyone should be vaccinated. Everyone that could. I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. They cannot be vaccinated. And they're the ones that are getting in ICU. They're the ones being airlifted. Yeah, because there are a few people that have certain medical conditions that will not permit them to be vaccinated. And they're a special case. But they're not, and all of them need to take special precautions, maybe isolate themselves, maybe quarantine, all of those things. But under 12, there's a lot of kids going to school right now where when, you know, I'll give you a perfect example. Here in Fort Bend, my child goes to, I shouldn't say the name, we're the top 1% of schools in Texas. We're probably we are the top elementary school and the top 3 middle school in the entire city. Right. Even before our county judge here in Fort Bend County, A.P. George basically came out last minute scramble yesterday and said, hey, they're going to defy the governor's order. Okay. Right. But even before this came out, everybody at the elementary school wore masks. Even though amongst the parents group, and there are thousands of parents, the chatter is probably 2 to 1. That's that 2 for masks, 1 not for masks. But even those that are saying it's freedom and whatnot, they still wear masks. They probably got vaccinated. Just like at Fox News, big news a few weeks ago, we didn't talk about it. You know, I don't want to keep going on to it. Fox News is another double standard. For the past year and a half, they have a narrative to fit, right? Vaccines, no need, no mask. But their internal directive was for their employees to be vaccinated and to wear masks. So they know that it generates views and profit, just like the politicians wanting to generate votes at the cost of what? It cannot be this way. Right. And I go back to wearing masks. I don't like wearing a mask. My kids don't like wearing masks. I'd rather not wear a mask. I wear a mask not for myself because I'm vaccinated. I wear a mask to protect those that cannot be vaccinated or those children under 12. You're absolutely right. If every adult, let's say everyone that over the age of 12 that could be vaccinated gets vaccinated, right? Instead of the 40% that just refuse to do it, then this virus cannot continue to spread. Then the 12-year-old and under won't worry about it. Right. And there's no need. There's never argument for masks. But the fact is, and once we stop the spread of what's now the Delta variant, then we'll stop the mutation and the creation of future variants. Yes. By making mistakes beget mistakes. And by making the first mistake of not shutting this thing down, and the vaccine is the perfect way to do it, then it goes to the second order, the medical situation I mentioned, the third order, which invites future variants, and on, let alone all the economic implications, let alone all the foreign policy and international relations implications. It's incredible. And so this past few years, the pandemic, the politics and all really has exposed the weakness in our system. I hope we go back because
Right.
I'll give you the perfect example. You know how privileged and how entitled we are? Because I say we're still all Americans. The ones that don't want to get vaccinated, I still say we. Right. Do they even know that other countries like Vietnam and Taiwan are begging for vaccines? They don't have vaccines, not even the lesser ones, not even the lesser effective ones. They're having to lock down their city. People are losing their lives, committing suicide, losing their jobs. Because some people need to make money every day to provide for the children to eat. They can't even go out and buy food. So there's countries like Vietnam, while we have so much leftover vaccine for to destroy. There's places that you can't get vaccines right now, but they're inferior vaccines with much lower rates of success. We have the best vaccines. We have free vaccines. And we are sitting here arguing because we're being riled up by that one doctor that says it's not real, or because they watch YouTube videos and being on Facebook. Right. CDC, everything, if you want to look at everything and doubt everything and be a conspiracy theories on everything, then everything could be a conspiracy. But I choose to believe in CDC. I choose to believe in our government. Whether it's Trump or Biden in the White House, I believe in the experts. I don't listen to politicians. Right. And then when you know the medical experts locally, people we know, nurses, doctors are telling you this, hey, this is bad. We need to, why? Why are we not protecting them? A very key point that people forget that you made is that not only are we not going to have enough medical first responders because they're so stressed and so tired, and very importantly, so disappointed in who they're serving and protecting. We're losing teachers too. Because teachers are going to school saying, why am I giving up my life for these people that don't want to wear masks, don't want to get vaccinated? Because they'll still get it. Even though they're vaccinated, that's what's so scary about it. I mean, they're a virus. The virus doesn't care if you're a Republican or Democrat or whether you believe in it or not. I'm sorry, Jim. I'm very stressed. I haven't been this stressed in a long time. Remember last November during the election, I was so worked up, strung out. And I really learned to work-life balance and, trying to pray more. But I mean, this past week, I feel helpless for the first time in a long time for my children. Very helpless. And I have all my friends asking me for advice and I couldn't give them any. I don't blame the leadership in Harris County or Fort Bend, because for them, this is also, they have to consult the attorneys, they have to file a countersuit, and it's creating more uncertainty. And it shouldn't have. It's a very simple solution. They don't have to say anything. They can say, hey, let each county, each local municipal, let them decide, let them listen to their health experts to decide whether if you're in rural county where there's not a lot of spread and the numbers are low, I get it. That you could choose to say, we're not going to enforce it. If you want to wear it on your own, you could do it. But I mean, in a highly populated place, when the numbers are so high, we know what's going on. But the good thing is, like I said, elementary school, everybody wore masks, including the teachers. Middle school is the problem. They're older. Some of them are vaccinated, some of them are not. Some of the teachers are not wearing masks. And I hate to say this, Jim. When we do an informal survey of the parents talking about it, or when we actually in school, because we had to drop them off and put orientation. Very overwhelmingly, people of color are wearing masks. Asian Americans, Indian Americans, Mexican Americans, African Americans, they're wearing masks. It seems like it's the Caucasian Americans, but we cannot assume what party that they're affiliated with. But they're not wearing masks, and the teachers are the same way. It's very interesting. It is very interesting. And then, front page news, right, locally too, Galveston County Republican official died of COVID days after railing against masks, railing against the vaccine. Then we have a lot of cases like this. We have a state congressman in Dallas that died a few months ago. His wife ended up, running. And I wonder what these folks are thinking. And God bless their soul. I mean, they're gone, and I'm sorry for their family. But do they realize that it's not just their own life they're risking by making public false statements? How about the countless lives that were lost because of their
After a while, I always try to understand somebody, walk a mile in their shoes, as the Indians used to say. But after a while, I stop trying to understand the way they think or what they call thinking.
Same here.
And after a while, you just have to say, we're in a dangerous situation. Our first priority must be to protect ourselves and the larger society. That's what we have to do. And if we disagree with people, some things are just beyond reason.
Our community should come first. What happened to caring for your fellow men? It is a very small act to do. Yeah. To wear a mask is a very small compared to causing death. This is not the analogies they would use is ridiculous. The numbers, and even if it's not a single death, which is not true, why risk it when you know you just have to suck it up or to get a vaccine and we're all done? We're done. I mean, you're the perfect example. You're a conservative. You're a Republican through and through, but yet you could think logically and believe in science. And mainly, I believe the difference between you and a lot of my friends that still would not get vaccines are the stubbornness, the ideology where they feel like they need to be proven wrong. They're right. You guys are wrong. What happened to a little bit of compassion and empathy? We always say that. Your compassion and empathy is what sets you apart, Jim, because you care about others.
And you have to. You have to. I think that's part of every faith that I know, certainly Christianity.
But that's not true. Republican Party is the party of faith. It's where we're supposed to.
I like to think so.
But yet this is I don't know what happened. I'm very stressed with my kids, and they're still in school today. They're back, and there is not much I could do.
No, I think if you have children in school, particularly children like your two, you have no choice. You have to comply. It's like driving on the right side of the road. If you want to drive, you have to drive on the right side of the road. If not, you'll create a lot of calamity. So
yeah, but what if driving by the right side of the road means that? Well, that's a bad analogy. But the fact is, I'm sending the kids to school because we're supposed to. But the fact is, I'm risking them. I'm risking them because other people don't want to get vaccinated or wear a mask.
The only other choice you would have would be to homeschool or enlist them in another private school. But I think even the private schools are
no online. There's no online program because it's so late. No one's prepared for the Delta variant. Because to be honest, I get it. 3 months ago, we're under control, right? I mean, numbers are dropping. We're looking good. And then all these new variants come out because there's still that 30-40% of people that won't get vaccinated. And the death rates and the new cases are much higher in the southern states where there are a lot more Republican voters who do not believe in vaccine, don't want to wear masks. And I read I will send the article. I forgot where I read it. Not Wall Street Journal, maybe New York Times or whatever it is. The highest rated vaccinated state is Maine. Mm-hmm. It was a New Hampshire name, but where George Bush Sr.
I've heard it is Maine, but yeah.
Yeah. So when I read the article, it's amazing. I mean, they're out. I mean, life is back to normal. They don't have new cases, not even Delta, because their vaccination rate was so high. It proves it works. It's science.
It works. Israel's going through the same thing. Hey, Jimmy, I apologize. I'm going to have to depart here, so let's...
No worries. Perfect timing. We're exactly at half an hour. Jim, thank you for taking out the time. I know when you're traveling is very hard. Our audience appreciate you because we look forward to this weekly chat to hear your sage advice. Have a good time there. Stay cool. I know it's hot there, you said.
Yeah, well, that's fine, but we've been hot before. Okay. Thank you, Jimmy.
Take care, Jim. Bye-bye. Bye.